My experience and my connection, first of all, to lupus, like I said, was with my father. And my father had developed lupus. And as you know, lupus is something that 9 out of 10 people with lupus is women. So, for my father, it was very difficult. And this was back in 1990 when he was diagnosed with it. And I was just 16 at the time. So it wasn't something that I really understood because he was a very strong man. And, he was very... I had an awesome daddy. I'm one of those lucky girls that really had an awesome father. And to see him go through the experience, especially when I was so young, and it was a difficult time for me because it was my teenage years when I was just running amok, and I was just stressing my parents out. You see me today, but don't talk to my mama because she'll be like, thank you, Lord. I was so concerned. We didn't know what was going to happen to that girl, But it was during that time when I was kind of going through my teenage drama and my father was going through this stressful period. It was like, can you act right? Because they said that the stress is going to make it worse or what have you. So I didn't understand a lot about what was happening to him. But I do understand now, and I understand and I appreciate his legacy because it wasn't until I was 25 years old and my father had since passed away that I began my journey with autoimmune disease because I didn't know anything about autoimmune diseases. We heard about, we learned of lupus, but after that I just thought, okay, I didn't know anything more. And then when I was 25 years old, I started to develop alopecia, and it started with just a small little patch in the back of my ear, behind my ear, and then eventually it started to progress. And I don't know if you know specifically about this particular autoimmune disease, but there's different stages of it. Some people just have spots, and some people like myself develop the rarest form, which is alopecia universalis, where you literally lose all of the hair on your body. So to lose your eyelashes and your eyebrows, it's just like, seriously? This is creepy. Like, what is that? To have that kind of change in your life to your body image, especially when you're already an adult. So that was very, very difficult and devastating. But then it was after that, it was a few years after that I learned about multiple autoimmune syndrome, where if you have 25% of people that have an autoimmune disease can develop another one. And so when I was 31 years old, I developed ITP, which is a blood disorder. And I also was diagnosed with pernicious anemia, which is a platelet disorder. And so it was just like, what in the world is going on? And as you know, it's very scary. Autoimmune diseases are very, very devastating. It's like all of a sudden, you wake up, you may have a new symptom, and you might think nothing of it, and you go to the doctor, and your whole world shifts. Everything changes. You walk into the doctor one way, you walk out, and you just like, what is going on? My whole life just changed just that fast. So I'm really passionate. That was the thing that really made me very passionate about autoimmune diseases in general, whether it was lupus or whatever it was, because I realized there's over 100 different autoimmune diseases, and so it could show up as anything. And so that made me really passionate about wanting to then advocate and make sure that there was awareness and that people knew and that patients like us were being supported properly because we have special needs. Because it's difficult, the depression and the different things that we have to come against and the symptoms and the medications that are not always so friendly with the symptoms. You know what I'm saying? Anybody know what I'm talking about? All that kind of stuff, so that's really why I got so involved in it, because it's personal, and that's one of the things that I learned is that if this is your, when it's your issue, you have to make it your issue. So kudos to you for being here, for supporting the foundation. Sometimes we look for somebody else to say, yeah, that needs to be done. But it's people like us that take a leadership role and say, no, I'm going to be there. I'm going to advocate for the issues that are important in my life because it impacts me and it's going to impact future generations, and it's up to us to get in the fight, to really get out there, to bring awareness and to fight for a cure so that we can change the future for the next generation. Amen? Amen. Amen. All right, then. Amen. 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 I have so many things that I want to share. The first thing when we're talking about dealing with some kind of autoimmune disease of any kind, lupus, what have you, I know my first question when I started going bald was, Lord, why me? Why, Lord? Seriously? Anybody ask why me, Lord? Was that just me? Why me, Lord? Why me? And the answer that came back to me was, why not you? Why not you? Because you know what? There really is an opportunity in the experience, in all of our experiences, whether they're painful or what have you, to really learn a lesson and to really grow. And so we have to decide that instead of taking an attitude of woe is me about it, that we have to open up and shift our perspective and say, okay, if this is what it is, and I can't do anything about it, then I have to say, so what's the lesson in it? What can I gain from this experience? And it's really a shift in your perspective. It's an attitude adjustment. It's a decision. Because I'll tell you, I didn't start off that way. I was mad about being bald. I felt some type of way about that. Yes, I did. I put my wig on every day. I stayed with my wig for years. I didn't want anybody to know that I was bald. I wasn't going outside bald. Are you kidding me? Absolutely not. I wouldn't let people in my family come to my house. With somebody at the door, wait, you go get my hair. Wait a minute. Don't open the door. I go get my hair. Wait, I draw my eyebrows on. Wait a minute, you don't just open the door for the mailman. You can't see me like this. I don't care no more. I just be like, look, hey, what you got for me? I ain't got my face on, but what you got? Get my package, it don't matter. I've grown a lot, but before it was just like, you're so afraid that you don't want anybody to know. And I was really stuck in that. And I felt like I was just coping with having this condition, but I was just really resentful. I was angry for quite a while, hidden, not right on the surface, but deep inside, I really was harboring some resentment about having this experience and afraid and all of those things. And it took me some time before I can really, really, really pray that prayer of serenity. Oh, you know that prayer of serenity? Lord, that's what my prayers sound like. Lord, help me to accept the things that I cannot change. Right? Yes, help me to accept those things I cannot change. Give me the wisdom, give me the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's what it is, and that's where it's at. It's that point of just when you have to surrender, because if you can't do anything about it, then you can't stay in a place where you're just going to allow it to consume you in a negative way, because then it absolutely wins. It absolutely wins. And so you can't, it's like we have to find how can we fight. I may not be able to cure it, but you know what? I can decide that I'm going to have the best quality of life that I possibly can, given my circumstances. And that's the decision that we have to make. And so in that, we talk about today, unlocking the treasure within. So, when you're dealing with an issue like this, your first thought is, what could possibly be good about this, about joint pain or the different symptoms or getting up in the morning and not feeling good, and all these different trials that we have to go through. What could possibly come of that? But I want to tell you today that there is absolutely a treasure within. But the secret is that you have to unlock it. That is where I want to hang my wig today. Okay? You have to unlock it. But trust that it is absolutely there. There is a divine plan for all things. There are no mistakes. And I believe that if He allowed you to go to it, He's going to bring you through it. But the important thing that I want to say is that the greatest lesson, one of the greatest gifts that I've received from having these kind of trials and challenges is that it's really helped me to grow spiritually. And I want people to know that you can't do it on your own. You cannot do this on your own. You really, whichever way that you do it, whether you as a Christian, whatever your religious, beliefs are, it doesn't matter. It's really about acknowledging that you are a spiritual being. That there is a source of strength inside of you. That there is a spirit that you can tap into. When it becomes overwhelming and it's too much for you to bear, you have to go and be replenished spiritually, so that you'll be able to manage and to endure this experience and to really learn the lesson that's in it for you. So I really, really want to encourage everyone, in whichever way that you do that, you need to make sure that you are building yourself up spiritually, because you will quickly get depleted. Some things are really beyond our capacity to be able to handle. And that's why we have to reach out and we have to go to the source so that we can be refueled. Is that right? When we talk about these gifts, these treasures inside, I thought it was so cool because I was thinking treasures, and I was getting this visual, right, of this hidden treasure, you know, the ocean and all that kind of stuff, and you see all the jewels coming out of it. And then I came in, I walked in today, and I saw the treasure chest on the tables, and I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I saw in my mind, because it was the emeralds, the green emeralds, and the red rubies, and the diamonds, and the blue sapphires. That if you can imagine this beautiful, this chest, right, with all of these wonderful jewels inside of it, and that we have to unlock it. And I want to talk about just a few of what I believe those gems are that lie in these experiences for us. I'm just going to talk about 3, but there's plenty more. But I'm going to talk about 3 in particular today that I want you to consider. The very first one, the very first gem is imagine a red ruby, right? That one is your inner strength. Your inner strength. There are going to be some gifts in here, in this box, and some benefits to having these kind of experiences that are going to make you the kind of person that you never even thought that you could be. Whitney Houston sang a song, I Didn't Know My Own Strength. And it's one of those kind of things where you don't even realize all that you can do until you have to do it. But it's really making you and molding you into the person that God has already predestined for you to be. So it's all on purpose. Everything has a purpose. So your first gem is your inner strength. And in that, you have the ability to shift your perspective and create the experience that you really want to have. You really have an opportunity to tap in to that inner strength and to handle the situation and to be an inspiration to other people. You know, my father didn't know that he was really, he knew that he was going through his experience, but he had no idea that the way that he handled his experience, what kind of impression that was making in my mind. And I remember that he maintained his strength. He never ever complained. He kept a smile on his face. And he kept me encouraged when I was worried. And it was the way that he went through with that kind of grace that when I was going through, I had to think back and remember, Daddy was strong. So I'm going to be strong. You have an opportunity for the people that are around you to impact them and inspire them by the way you show up in your own experience. They're watching you. I do what I do because I know I have 2 children that are watching me. And I don't know what the future holds for them, but I need to show them that as you are going through, you can handle it. But if I'm laying out on the floor and carrying on, you know what I'm saying? I don't have a choice. We've got to get up. I've got to get up because my children are watching me. And I want them to see that it's possible that you can endure, you can survive, and you can thrive. And so I've gained a gem called inner strength that I really did not know that I had inside of me. It's a wonderful gift. A wonderful gift. And if anybody would have told me that you'd have to live bald for the rest of your life, I'd have been like, seriously? I don't think so. I can't do that. But until you go through these experiences, then you find out I can do anything. I can do anything I set my mind to. So that very first gem is inner strength. You know, the one thing I think about also sometimes is some people, it really is a gift because I remember being very insecure, you know, at first going outside and, you know, comparing myself to other women, or she looks so beautiful, or she has hair, or this, that, and the third, or, you know, the judgment. You're afraid to go out, you know, what are people going to think about me? I don't want anybody to see me like this and all this kind of stuff. And I really had to disconnect from all of that, of what I was thinking everybody else was going to be thinking about me and my situation. It's all too consuming. I just had to say, you know what? The reality of it is that if someone dared to look at me and judge and have an opinion, to think, oh, she's not beautiful, or she is, or whatever the case may be, you know what? Not for nothing. They couldn't last one day in my shoes in this experience. And that's the real deal Holyfield. Okay? So we can't be we get so insecure about what everybody else is thinking, but we have to stand on the reality of, if they knew what our experience was like, their judgment doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else is thinking. All that matters is what you are thinking of yourself. That's what matters at the end of the day. And when you show up and you are confident, and you walk in and you own that experience, the world is only going to mirror back to you the way you show up. If I'm walking in and I say I'm okay, well then everything is all right. Don't pity me. I'm fine. I'm fine. Inner strength. Inner strength. The second one is courage. That's a gem. Courage. Courage you didn't even know you had. I remember when I was going through the whole ITP, and ITP, you know, is very different from alopecia. You know, alopecia, of course, is just cosmetic, so it's just a matter of, again, your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself, you know, outward stuff, but it's not a real threat. You know what I'm saying? In the big scheme of things, and sometimes you feel kind of bad, like, oh, you know, people have it so much worse. I really shouldn't feel so horrible about being bald, but I feel bad about being bald. But I still want my hair back, you know? But then I dealt with ITP, and ITP is something that can be very dangerous and potentially life-threatening or what have you. And I remember when I was in the doctor's office at the oncologist, in which she told me that I had this particular disorder. And of course, initially, because I had black and blues all over my body, and she told me, you know, what the worst case scenarios could be. And I remember breaking down in the doctor's office, and I was crying my eyes out. And I'm just like, seriously? You know, that's some scary stuff. I know you know what I'm talking about, when you're just like, this could really get ugly, and you're so afraid of what the potential could be, and that fear crept up in me, right? And as soon as the fear crept up in me, the next feeling was, oh, wait a second. I got 2 small children at home. Oh, I can't die or nothing like that. Look, let me tell you something. I got things to do. I got a life to live. I have children that I need to take care of. So guess what? It's on and popping, ITP. What do we need to do? Let's go get it. What, we need surgery? What, we gonna give you a needle? What do we need to do? I was ready to fight. I was taking my earrings off. I had the Vaseline. What? Let's get it popping. That's how it makes you feel. There's a courage that comes up, and it's that will to live. It's that will to live. That if that doctor said, we need to roll you into surgery, well then let's go. Come on. Whatever we need to do, because I've got a life to live. There's a reason that I'm here, and no matter what I have to go through, that's what we're going to have to do. I'm willing to do it. There's a courage that I did not know that I even had. It's a gift to me. And now let me tell you something. When you've been to some dark places and some heavy emotions that you have had to go through in your life, can't nobody tell you nothing. It gives you a certain something, right? That you just can't take away. You can't buy that. You can't read that in the book. You can't go to college and get these type of skills right here. You gotta go through it. You gotta earn your stripes. It's like a warrior. You gotta get cut. That's what it takes. But it's priceless. Because who you are as a result of that, your courage, your strength, it's a priceless gift. And you say, wow. And if I didn't go through that trial, if I didn't have this experience, I never knew that I could be that kind of person. I didn't know my own strength. It's a gift. It's the treasure within. The third one I want to talk about is wisdom. You know, when you go through these kind of experiences, you learn what's important and what's not. You don't sweat the small stuff anymore because you recognize you develop an attitude of gratitude. You start to have an appreciation for every single day. And those things that other people take for granted because you understand now how precious it is. What it really means to be able to get up in the morning and you feel good. Wow, that's nice. When you can get up and do things for yourself and you have the energy and the activity of your limbs and you're able to do that, you have an appreciation for that other people just take for granted. Suddenly the birds are singing. Oh, that sounds so good. Did you hear that? Y'all don't hear that? Did you see that beautiful sun? Wow, look at his majesty. Just an appreciation for the people that you love. Baby, I love you. Telling the people that you love them. You get it. That's that wisdom that the rest of the world is just running around. They have no idea. Because you've been through this experience. You've had an awakening. You've had an epiphany that opened up something inside of you and it made your life even more fulfilling because you can appreciate the importance of every single day and what's really important. And you're not chasing a whole bunch of foolishness because you know at the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road, a lot of that stuff means nothing. It means nothing. What's important is your essence, is who you are, it's your legacy, it's your relationships, it's the people that you love. That is what's most important. It's a gift to you. It's your treasure within. And all of these wonderful things are things that you would not have been able to really get to that place in that space if you did not have this experience. And so again I say, it's not about being woe is me, but it's a shift. In my book, My Crown and Glory, I talk about owning your power. And I'm really, really big on that. And when I work with people in life coaching, that's the one thing that I really, really want people to get. Because that was the greatest lesson that I ever learned. That I really can create the life experience that I want to have. Because I was really depressed about being bald until the day I decided that I wasn't going to be depressed about it no more. And I was still just as bald, but I changed my mind. Just that fast. And the tears just dried up. I'm not crying about this no more. I'm done. I cried my last cry yesterday. Yesterday. And it doesn't mean that you don't still wake up. I mean, please, don't get me wrong. I wake up some days and I wish I could just put a ponytail on. I wish I had a ponytail and just some eyebrows and I didn't have to paint my face on every day. Really? I don't feel like being bald today. But you know what? Ultimately, it doesn't hurt anymore. Took the sting out of it. It's the way we fight back. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you have this kind of disease. I heard where's Lisa? Lisa, where are you? Lisa, in the back. I'm not going to give it all away, but we had a beautiful conversation. But what did you call it? What did you say about lupus? What was your?
It's a hostile takeover.
Isn't that right? A hostile takeover. Yes, and that's what it feels like with autoimmune diseases like lupus. A hostile takeover. You're trying to take over my life. And you feel like you can't fight, you can't win. You feel defeated. You feel like a victim, like you've been robbed. We can't stay there. How do we fight back? Okay, so there's no cure yet. We're working on that. There's no cure yet. But what power do we have? What can we do? So are you going to be depressed and sick? And that's just it? Because it's really, when you have a good attitude, your body will respond in kind. When you give up the fight in your mind and in your spirit, your body will say, okay, well then we shut down. You said shut down? Okay, shut down, y'all. But when you say, no, come on, we got to go. Everything, your cells, everything responds to that. Okay, we want to live. We want to have joy, we want to have peace. And so we have that power to decide that in spite of those circumstances, we may be weak in the body, but you can be strong in your spirit, you can be strong in your mind, and you can still decide to have the best quality of life and not allow it to steal your joy. Don't let it steal your joy. And I'm not talking about a bad day. I'm talking about your life attitude and the way you show up in life. Even in spite of it, it's your life. You own it. There are treasures within. But you have to unlock your strength, your courage, and your wisdom. It's all there. Anybody unlock theirs? You know what I'm talking about? Unlock it. Unlock it. We own that power. I know that there are, difficulties, with the all the different symptoms from the medication. When I was on ITP, I had to go on prednisone and got all the moon phase, and I had acne and back knee, and that was a bad time, boy. I was not happy. I understand. Hard. It's tough. And then even through the alopecia and all of that, I had to realize that, I named my book My Crown and Glory. It's not about the hair, because it's not about the hair. It's not about the hair. It's not about your weight. It's not about the rash or skin or whatever these things that are happening externally that we may not be able to control. But my crown and glory are the gems that I've unlocked. That is my crown, filled with rubies of courage, emeralds of wisdom, blue sapphire of strength. I have my crown and my glory, and it can never, ever be taken away. That is the essence of who I am. That is who everybody who knows me, who loves me, will always remember. The essence of who I truly am. And allowing that light to shine so bright inside of me that the things that are going on the outside doesn't quite matter that much. Because we cannot afford to define ourselves or our value or our worth by any of our physical attributes. Because life happens and things change. So you got to know who you are in spite of all of this here, and you need to know whose you are. You need to know that is your foundation. That is your crown and glory.